welcome everyone to the Monday, June 25th Strategic Planning Committee meeting, the council meeting room in Gonzales. Mr. Martin McConnell is not present tonight. Everyone else is here, and we'd like to ask Ms. Fontenot to lead us in a prayer.
We'll be glad to. Father, as always, we do give you praise and honor. We thank you for our many blessings. We thank you for our soldiers that are fighting for our country and fighting for the rights of others. We ask they return home safely and quickly. We ask tonight that you give us wisdom, understanding, and provision to do the parish business. As always, we thank you that you will secure our borders and our gates with your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak on any of the agenda items can sign up, and also we will call on people as each agenda items comes forward. Number 4, presentation of proposal for Downtown Development Corporation, Mr. Steve Snyder and Mr. Carl Capone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and gentlemen of the council and ladies. My name is Carl Capone. I'm with the City of Donaldsonville. I'm the current project coordinator for the City of Donaldsonville. We're here today to ask for the parish's assistance and support in moving a project forward with the City of Donaldsonville. Last year, we worked on a riverfront development project. I think you may be familiar with this plan that was done with the Corps of Engineers. We worked like every month. We had meetings, myself and Mr. Sheikh Snyder, trying to develop a riverfront plan to get this off the ground and running and to make something happen in our town with regard to the riverfront. What has happened is we don't want the plan to just sit on the shelf, and we need someone working on it full time. In our committees that we met with, we created this downtown development district, and the people that operate the district have the riverfront within that downtown development district. The gentleman I have with me today, Mr. Steve Snyder, is our chairman of the downtown development district, and he's here to explain how we intend to tie that into our riverfront plan, and this is our method of doing so. I'd like to let him speak on behalf of the downtown development district, and I'm just trying to show you how we came up with this plan. The city's doing its part in putting together some funding for it, and we just need your assistance to participate in that. Thank you.
Hello? Can I?
Sure.
Yes.
Hand out materials.
Thank you so much.
To keep, look, to follow.
And I also want to, for information purposes, and I don't know if it's clear or not, the reason the parish is looking, or the city is looking for the parish to participate is that the study that was done was a combination of the city and the riverfront in Donaldsonville, and the parish had put up monies toward the riverfront development, and that's why they're looking for some type of joint partnership. So that's where Steve is headed.
And the basic bottom line on this is that we're looking for funding, enough funding to allow us to have resources to work with on some of our matching grant programs, and to hire a full-time director so that that person with the ability to move forward with these projects, that has a track record with the Main Street program, which is a program we need to get back on. They have various resources, educational grant programs and things like that. But just to kind of basically tell you all about the Donaldsonville Downtown Development District and what we're about and what we're doing so far, that we were established by the City of Donaldsonville to coordinate improvements, activities, and generate revitalization and economic growth in the district, which is the historic district, and it also includes the riverfront. I've got just a list of our board members and go into what the DDD objectives are, basically establish the Downtown Development District as a leading entity in the district, and use preservation as a tool in order to promote economic development. So that's where we are as far as our general concept. If you move to the next page, which is the Main Street 4-point approach, these are the kind of things that our director will have in-depth knowledge of and will have a proven track record of success. We feel it's important, and I noticed at one of y'all's meetings the other night that there was some study done that determined that Ascension Parish needed middle management professionals, and so this is basically right in line with all that, someone that has expertise that can come in and follow through on these projects. The board right now is all volunteer, and we've researched this whole thing for a whole year and try to put together a plan. We have a basic plan here, but it does need to be activated and moved forward by an experienced person that has firsthand knowledge of how to move forward with these things. And it encompasses revitalizing downtown through cultural, educational activities, and working with the economic institutions to do some creative financing, promotion in the downtown area. Basically the concept, bring business into downtown, get businesses in, some residential activities so that we can see some economic growth and some quality of life to the citizens of Ascension Parish. So we're excited about where we are right now, but we need funding to move forward. I know I'm kind of bouncing around here, but if you go to the page where we have DDD projects, which shows the 2 buildings, those are some things that we're working on with some business owners, doing some restoration projects. We want to do some more facade grants and things like that to encourage beautification of Donaldsonville and an openness to business. We've already, at where we are just under a year of being organized, we've already, without a director, just straight volunteerism, we've organized the Stash the Trash Litter Awareness Campaign, where we've started with facade grants. We've started a downtown farmers market. We've developed our logo and identity, and we're putting together a packet that gives the businesses that want to locate in Donaldsonville all kind of information about tax incentives and things like that as a sales tool. We purchased some commercial quality trash cans for downtown, and so we're excited about that because it's, even though it's a basic thing, we feel that litter and staying clean and doing things like that are very important to quality of life. And so along with those things, we're about to start our downtown riverfront development with levee top improvements this year. And so with all these things that need to be done, like I said, we're looking to try to get enough funding to hire a director and move forward with our program. If you move to the last page, we've come up with a preliminary budget of $100,000 a year, and it's broken down above into the little items that you can see of salary, different things, rental, office maintenance, things like that, facade grant program. And to accomplish this, we've gone through some cycles of things, and what we have at this point are, we have a $25,000 economic development grant from the state. We have a commitment for $25,000 from the city of Donaldsonville, so we're here tonight asking for the parish's support with $25,000 for at least 3 years to get our program going. And that would involve the development of the riverfront and that whole process. And we're also looking at private investors and foundation grants, which we have some leads and talking to some people on that. So that's what we want, to partner with the parish and move forward with economic development.
Mr. Barriger.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd like to offer a motion to send this to Finance Committee, since they're asking for some money. And they also invite y'all to give a full presentation to Finance Committee, which is a committee of the whole council.
Okay,
And
that'd be
we get it
great.
through there, it's pretty much done. So
Right.
I ask that we send it there, and also invite y'all to give a presentation.
Okay, we'd be glad to be there if we.
We have a motion by Mr. Barriger, second by Mr. Lambert. Discussion. And I wanted to make sure in prefaces, but understand everybody's, I mean, I would imagine some people are looking and saying, why does the parish get involved? 2 years ago, the parish had spent $180,000 of the money and received a matching grant from the Corps of $180,000 on riverfront development, and the study was done. We combined our monies with the city of Donaldsonville, and they did their incorporated one development, one plan from the riverfront development, downtown, and the bayou, so that it's all in conjunction. And the biggest fear from everyone when we met with the Corps and all of the people was that it would just sit there and be a study like everything else and never get past that point. So we met with Tommy Kurtz, the Economic Development Director for the parish, and he was very adamant about you need to hire somebody that's going to work on this on a daily basis to see that what we spent money on, plans and studies, is brought forth that's actually built into construction. And so that's why we're here. We're trying to figure out how to get the monies that we've spent on studies to actually get to construction right now. So with that, we have a motion and a second. Is there any objections? So moved, and you will be on the agenda for the next finance meeting, and I will contact you and let you know.
Thank you for your time.
What we do there. Thank you. Number 5, memorandum, of understanding between the Parish of Ascension and Ascension Parish Library Board for property on 708 Irma Boulevard, Gonzales. Do you have it, Ron?
Yes, basically this is a memorandum of agreement. This very much predates me, but evidently the parish owns part of the property that the library is located on. They want to make some revisions and some add on to the property, and to do so, there's been an ongoing issue about cleaning up the actual title work to show that everything shows up the way it's supposed to be. As a part of that, I talked with Ricky Babin, and he had met with the library board at least on a couple of occasions. And this agreement is a result of that.
I think
It's kind of a...
Make that motion.
Mr. Lambert makes the motion to approve this and recommend to the full council. Ms. Fontenot seconds it. Any discussion? Any objection? So moved. We pass that, and that goes to the full council. Ms. Suzanne, would you put that on there? And we will take it up at the next council meeting. And I want to recognize Ms. Angela Desatel. We appreciate you coming by. She's with the library board and does a great job. So thank you. Hopefully we can get this past us now. Number 6, discussion of establishing minimum standards necessary for the development and operation of housing provided by employers or private property owners for groups of employees. This has been some discussion around on this matter. There was some fears in the parish that we do not have implemented enough safeguards, because if Sinfuel comes and steel mill and the airport and things of that sort, we would have an influx of workers, and we have no means to regulate workers' housing at this point in time. So this was brought up, and it's for discussion only, and Mr. Harold McGee was kind of a person that has brought this forth. And so, Mr. Harold, would you like to introduce your information at this time?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's Harold McGee. I'm a resident of Prairieville. I'm president of Merrill Properties. Among other things, we develop single-family residential housing for lease here in the parish and other locations as well. There's a growing we have a problem in the parish today, which is growing, which is the housing of temporary workers by employers or private property owners, as these workers are in our area for economic development and construction reasons. You may have noticed in the Advocate back on a few days ago, June 15th, where they estimated that the Baton Rouge area, South Louisiana, labor construction worker shortage is approximately 90,000. And this number, I don't know how they forecasted that number personally, but when you think about some of the projects that could be developed or being developed currently or in the future, for example, Marathon Oil in Garyville and St. John is expanding, doubling the size of their refinery. That's 4,000 workers. Gulf Island Shipyard in Terrebonne Parish bid a contract for construction of a deepwater drilling platform, which included 1,000 Indonesian workers to work on that project. Turner Industries in the press reported that they've hired in 2006 800 foreign workers from the Philippines, Indonesia, and Mexico for their various projects. The proposed regional cargo airport, should it become a reality, will require significant numbers of construction workers. The steel plant that was originally proposed for Convent was estimated 29,000 construction workers. The Chamber of Commerce recently announced their project for the Ascension industrial megasite, 1,400 acres. That project is proposed. It's approximately 50% of the acreage for the steel plant in Convent. We can assume that would be another 12,000 to 15,000 workers for an industrial project of that size. So the Advocate's number of 90,000 is not far off. And currently in East Ascension, or Ascension in general, we do not have the regulations for the health, safety, and welfare to accommodate this necessary development for these needed workers. No one is suggesting that we prohibit these workers. They obviously needed in South Louisiana. We just need to regulate how employers or private property owners could house them, as other parishes adjacent to us have done. Assumption recently passed an Employee Housing Act by the police jury. East Baton Rouge Parish has recently tightened up their single-family housing definition by adding a verification clause, which facilitates the enforcement of the single-family housing zoning code over in East Baton Rouge Parish. And if we don't, if in East Ascension, if we don't try to regulate this housing, whether it be single housing or labor camp type of developments, they will be attracted to our parish just by the fact that they might be more regulated in surrounding parishes. For that reason, I'm suggesting to the committee that they consider requesting the parish attorney's office to develop a proposed employee housing ordinance for the parish. I think we're fortunate, as my understanding, that Assistant Parish Attorney Ricky Babin authored the Assumption Parish Employee Housing Act. So therefore, if that is accurate, he would have a lot of knowledge about this issue. So if you have any further questions, I'd be happy to comment. I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. Okay, this is on the agenda for discussion, so floor is open for discussion.
I'm just interested to know how would we enforce something like this.
That's actually that's what they're looking to do right now. There is no enforcement, and they were looking to find a way to enforce.
But any
that.
kind of enforcement of our law, doesn't that deal with the sheriff? As far as, you know, that kind of enforcement? And I mean, I know now that we've got so many other we've got many troubles in Ascension Parish, but it all requires, we make the laws, but we don't enforce them. And so I guess that's my question is, who's going to enforce them?
Mm-hmm. And
Has anybody talked to the sheriff about this, about the possibility of such an ordinance and what it would do to his...
It has been recommended over and over about more code enforcement officers, and I would definitely not, as you said, I would definitely not be in favor of putting more things on there until we get code enforcement officers that we can enforce our standards. But this would be something that we just need to look at for
now.
For now, to see what or if or any part of it would apply, and it's something that we want to go forward with and take a look at because of what could be coming down the line if a number of these large plants comes and we get an influx of workers, which may be undocumented workers, illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, and so on. And so it's something that we have nothing on the books right now, and it's just something that I think we need to take a look at, find out what direction we'd like to go in, and be prepared for it ahead of time instead of being react to it. And I think one of the biggest things is, as Ms. Fontenot said, is some code enforcement officers to enforce our laws that we have on the books now.
Well, it definitely takes exploring. You know, I mean, we do need to research and review. This is the first time I hear of it. So, I mean, it's something that I'd be interested in finding out more about. But, you know, I think it would involve more than just us. You know, I think there's a lot of people in the community that need to come on board to figure out if this is a direction that we need to go into, how we would implement it.
I guess
Mr. Lambert.
one thing that, thinking about it, the fire departments, I don't know if you got how many people you got housed in this house, whether it's legal, whether it's not. How would the fire marshal or, look at it, and also the Board of Health. There's so many, household members supposed to be per sewer systems in the parish. So now I think this needs to be whoever's leasing this property maybe needs to have that in their lease, that they need to control how many people they're going to let lease these houses, apartments, or whatever they're leasing. So I really think, we're just trying to put more government into people's lives, where I think the leaser should be more responsible for however many people he put in his residence.
Mr. Sigler.
What I would add, and you're exactly right, that it's an enforcement issue. There is a benefit to an ordinance like this, even assuming you don't have the adequate enforcement to enforce it rigidly everywhere, and that is that because it is an ordinance and part of the code, from an inspection standpoint, from a permitting standpoint, that type of thing, if something's going to be constructed to do that, to serve that purpose, say someone was going to build a labor camp, or someone was going to build an apartment complex aimed specifically at transit workers, that would give my department a better idea of what are you looking for, what are these minimum standards, and these minimum standards are above and beyond standards we would require of another structure that's going to house that many people. It gives us a little bit better control on what's going on. Now, I agree we need more enforcement code officers. We've got one. I'd like to add one immediately and another one in the next budget year. But there's some benefit to doing this before the problem actually happens. we've got the code on the, got the ordinance on the books. It allows us to tell people ahead of time what they're going to have to do. On the other hand, the councilman's also exactly right. The best way to do it is through leases, telling people that they can only have X number of people as a part of their lease in their individual apartment or residence. Most of what you see it in, from my experience, is not so much the apartments, but it's going to be house trailers, older single-family residences with about 3 bedrooms where you can stack quite a few of them up in there. And it could potentially be a problem here.
Yes, if people would be responsible for their houses, we wouldn't have any problem.
That's right.
To be here, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Mr. Barrett.
Yeah, thank you. As far as developing minimum standards, as far as I'm concerned, we have them. We have a zoning code. It's not going to allow us to allow anyone to go out and create man camps and type FEMA trailer parks that's not an approved trailer park already or whatever. FEMA trailer park is probably a bad word, but a camper park or whatever. That's not going to be allowed by the zoning regulations we have in place today. And as far as governing how many people can live in a house, I'm not sure if we're going to be infringing on someone's civil liberties now. I mean, what are we going to do? Go out and do blood work to see if they related? I mean, how do you do that? I'm not sure that's even in our realm of our governing authority. I just think we have minimum standards set already, and it's our zoning code, and I think we need to live with it.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
I was just wondering the same thing. I mean, how does anybody keep up with how many people's in somebody's house?
Ultimately, ultimately, you can only respond in an enforcement action. You know, you hope you have responsible landowners that would keep all this information, because by law, some of this stuff you're supposed to have anyway.
I guess that's where I'm going, Ron. You know, people that understand the law and have a sense of decency or whatever, you know, usually live properly. But everywhere we look today, that there's people that are violating things, and they're going to violate it whether there's a law on the books or not. You know, so I guess my question is, number one, who would enforce it, and how do you enforce it? How does anybody know? Because somebody's got 8 cars in their yard. Well, what if they say, well, I'm having a party?
Mm-hmm. That's part of the problem.
I mean, I understand and I agree, you know, that we don't need to have these, because we know it's being done. But it's like, what do you do about it? How do you do it? You know, I mean...
My limited experience with
Mr. Sigler, could you just continue to research this?
Sure.
And if you come up with some new information or some, you heard our concerns up here,
right?
That we have, and if you could continue to gather information, take into account the concerns of the councilmen and women, and what Mr. McGee had expressed forward. And if you come up with some new information, some ways where we can go forward with something, with some recommendations, especially with enforcement, then could you bring that forward with the information, and we can address it at that point in time?
I'd be happy to do so.
Thank you. Any other comments? Discussion number 7 of servitude and right-of-way for a simple division of property, family petitions, and subdivisions for determining lot size. Mr. Clint Quintmo. Clint had called me earlier, and they do simple division of properties, family petitions, and surveying. And he said that he's come upon something that he believes is a problem, and would like to discuss it with us at this point. Clint.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, I'm Clint Quintmall, registered land surveyor, practicing here in Ascension, and I'm here to address the issue of determining the area density of lot subdivision under the geometric standards 35.200 under section 35.203 in the yellow gold book titled Ascension Parish Subdivision Regulations, amended November 6, 2003, which reads, in determining lot area, the area of the public street, servitude, roadway, driveway shall not be considered. In my opinion, this is a conflict with the Gray Book, Ascension Parish Development Code, effective April 2nd, 2003, which addresses density requirements of residences to be determined by the gross site area. The reason for concern with this conflict of interpretation of lot density is so important is that the people of Ascension Parish are unjustly having their properties devalued as a result of the conflict. When someone goes out and buys a piece of property, their title reads to the section line, as a significant portion of the property may fall into the road right-of-way, or what I like to call public servitude streets. When they go to the parish and want to subdivide, and just using these numbers as an example, if they buy 1 acre of land and the requirement is a ½ acre for each lot, if any area falls within the road right-of-way, it cannot be considered, and therefore they either cannot subdivide or sent to special committees in order to find hardship variances in order to subdivide. The second thing is that the property is immediately, once bought, if this situation arises, is immediately devaluated under these current regulations. Some property owners are affected more than others. Examples of property that are situated at street intersections or where the parish determines the center line of the road by which the extent of the right-of-way is considered to be over on one property owner than the other across the street. These are just some of the examples of where the regulations as written are causing problems. In front of you is a map showing a 3.52 acre tract at the intersection of LA 935 with an 80-foot right-of-way and LA Highway 22 with a 100-foot right-of-way. Highlighted in orange is the area that cannot be considered in the division of this property. It is over 1/3. This person wasn't compensated or did not buy the road right-of-way at a cheaper price. He paid the same square footage for the property out in the road right-of-way as he did on the property that's not in the road right-of-way. These are just some examples, just one example of high-value property and other property all over Ascension Parish, affecting 90% of citizens in this parish. I'm here today to ask for simplicity in determining lot subdivision. That is to use the extent of title lines of the subdivider. If the subdivider buys an acre, then 1 acre of area should be considered in dividing the property. Let's be clear, let's be fair, and let's give value of the hard-earned money spent on property back to our Ascension Parish citizens. I have written what I believe gives a clear understanding to lot density. It reads, in determining lot area, the gross site area shall be determined by the subdivider's title lines. Therefore, the square footage requirement per lot must be at or greater than the Table C site requirements by district in the Ascension Parish Development Code. I'd be happy to let the planning department, your legal counsel, or anyone else redefine that definition.
What you're looking at, Clint, is basically to eliminate the ideas of servitudes and right-of-ways being taken out of the determining lot sizes.
That is correct. Under the current definition, not only public streets, but servitudes, that meaning utility servitudes, drainage servitudes, cannot be considered. In the current definition, the word driveway is in there.
You need to read the current.
The current says,
See what we're replacing.
in determining the lot area, the area of the public street, servitude, road right-of-way, driveway shall not be considered. And that current rule is not being followed today.
Yeah, that's servitude on the driveway. Yes, Councilman.
I guess my concern is, you know, we're looking to get right-of-ways all the time for roads and stuff, and we're going to start taking away, like for example, the one you have here, we have a 100-foot right-of-way. Who knows when 22 don't become a 4-lane highway and they need that right-of-way to expand that road, you know. I don't know if we need a relinquished right-of-way, is my opinion.
Mr. Barrett.
It's not. I don't think it's Mr. Quintmall's intent to relinquish any right of way. He's just asking if you buy a 3-acre piece of property, don't include all of this right of way. I mean, don't not let his right of way, which he bought and owns, count as part of his property. In other words, this highlighted section is being taken away from him. Instead of 3 acres, now he has. I think he said it's a third less. Now he has 2 acres. Instead of 3, that he can actually.
But he paid for 3.
He paid for 3. In other words, when he goes to subdivide this for his children, now he's working with 2 acres instead of 3. Is that
And if I can clarify, I think Mr. Lambert's concern, his title, his ownership, goes out into that right of way. He still owns that. Matter of fact, if he struck oil, he still owns it. If the state and parish come in and need to expand, usually what is customary is they buy right away. Fee simple title. Now the state or the parish owns it. As where here in this example, the property owner owns the right of way. It is just a public servitude that allows the public to cross their property, to travel from one place to another. It is not ownership. So you're not taking or giving anything away other than considering what they bought into the area of lot density or lot subdivision.
So what you're saying, if we do and take away the servitudes and right-of-ways, you're going to be able to put more lots, more density into these 3 acres?
Mm-hmm.
That is correct. He will get what he bought. He will earn his value.
And I'm not sure that's what we want.
Yeah, it is. It is, Todd.
More density.
No, it's not about the I don't think it's about the density per se. As the man bought 3.5 acres, and he bought all of it, including what's in the orange. But when he goes to use his land, the planning commission is taking the servitude out, but it's his land. Mm-hmm. So we shouldn't be doing that. If the parish owned the land and the piece of property is smaller, that's different. But he already still owns the land.
Well,
and so you're penalizing somebody that's owning something.
You're going to find most of this situation occurring as a result of a family partition or a simple partition of property. You'll almost never find the situation in a subdivision, in a regular subdivision that goes through the planning process, because they will actually dedicate those streets and servitudes. This is a situation that's gone on in years past, or as a part of a family partition or a simple division of property. And it's in my mind, if you subdivide property through a simple partition or a family partition as parish, it's one of those things you probably give up because you don't have to go through the other stuff that you have to go through in this parish to divide property. You don't have to do the drainage studies, and you don't have to build the roads to the same exact standards. And there's all the engineering and other things that don't take place on that kind of division of property. And that's, on the one hand, you get away with that, and you're able to develop your property cheaper within the family. But on the other hand, if you own out to the center line of the road, and what happens in these situations is they'll divide a piece of property into, say, 4 pieces of property. They're going to run a new road down the middle of it. Each side will give up X number of feet, say 40 foot. Well, then later on, the council adopts the road and brings it into the system. Yeah, they've lost that 40 feet. They've got a road there, but that's one of those things you give up when you don't go through the regular subdivision process. If you would like for us to investigate this, and I agree that we need to, if we have a definition in one manual that is not word for word the same as the same definition is in another manual, we need to address that. And we can
I promise you that's not the only one.
Yeah.
No, I guarantee you there's more than that. We find them all the time.
And that's one of our concerns. I would like for you to go back and give us some recommendations so that we can make both manuals exactly the same because they are conflicting. I know Clint and I had some discussions, and we brought this to Lance earlier, and it was very, very hard because it did conflict.
There are numerous conflicts that I found.
But we're on this now, and if you find any others, please bring that to us. But please investigate this. Come back. You've heard the concerns of everyone. Give us some recommendations, Ron, that we can move forward on from the standpoint of the planning department. And Clint, hopefully we can have something for you next month. Some type of recommendations is what we can do. Ms. Suzanne, can you put that on the agenda for next month's meeting, and we'll get a recommendation there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for coming back. Yes. Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to maybe put something on the agenda for the next meeting.
Sure.
Something that we've been discussing, and I think we need to move on it, is family partitions. I think we need to put a time limit on when a family member can sell that piece of property once it's partitioned. I would say anywhere from 5 to 10 years. Because what's happening, we're doing these family partitions, and as soon as we do them, the property is putting up for sale, and it's dividing the property up even more than what it was originally split up to be. So I want to get it on the agenda, start working on this, put us a time frame that when we do a family partition, that family member cannot sell that property, and we need to discuss it. We'll bring it up for discussion in either 5 to 10 years afterwards.
Let's put that on the agenda before we discuss it.
I just want to get something, but she can.
I understand.
Everybody that knows what that agenda
Just put a
item is.
discussion on family petition on the agenda for next. Yes.
Not the council.
Not the council.
Strategic.
The
That gotta
next
go to-
strategic planning.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
got to go
ma'am.
to strategic.
July.
Don't worry, it'll be a while before it goes to council.
No, it ain't. It's going to be moved pretty quick. Yes, sir.
Any other? Anything else? Any other comments?
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second. We are now adjourned.